I'm Maddie.
And I'm Julia.
This is my sister.
And this is my sister.
And this is my couch. Welcome to my sister's couch. Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Kona, do you want to tell them what happened? Well, no, it's not really news that, the community was not really.
Sure.
And by the community, I mean the 15 people who listen to this podcast who know us.
Also know us in real life.
So for those of you, if we do have any people that listen to this podcast that don't know us in real life, hi, welcome. I had a dog for 5 years. She was my baby. She came to us when she was a puppy. And she unfortunately passed away in February. Oh, no, it was March 6th. And it was very sudden and traumatic. And so I've been in my grief era a little bit. And yeah, just haven't been feeling creative or feeling like doing anything besides the things I had to do. But we're back. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's what happened.
We've got so many brand deals we have to keep up with.
Look, we have contracts. We can't break them.
So
it's our livelihood.
It's our livelihood. We got to get back to it.
Got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
No, but for real, we will miss Bailey very much. Friend of the podcast. Yeah. Best friend of Kona, our sound tech.
Oh my God, Kona. Yeah, the crew has been like kind of reeling. Our sound tech Kona and our technical producer Chris.
Yeah. Two of Bailey's
favorite creatures on Earth.
Yes. Arguably maybe her third and fourth favorite creatures after Sean and Julia.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would say it goes Julia, Sean, Chris, Kona.
Then maybe you.
Maybe me.
Maybe my mom.
I think mom.
Yeah, my mom.
Anyways, so love you, Bailey. Podcast
this
dedicated to you. Love you, and
make us proud up there.
Make us proud. And give your furry friends a little kiss and a pat on the head, if you can.
Yeah. And a kiss from me. And a hug. And they could die at any minute.
We could all die at any moment.
This is the lesson I want you to take away. We could all die at any moment.
Yep. We should all be experiencing constant existential panic.
Yeah. And stress.
It's the only healthy way to go about your life, I would say.
That's like the takeaway that I've learned. And honestly, the other takeaway is never love anything.
Just never open yourself up to love, and then you'll be safe. If you never experience happiness, then you never have to experience sadness. And that's what we've learned.
And that's what this podcast is all about.
Okay.
So, obviously we've missed many weeks of Survivor. We're not going to, recap it or talk that much about it, we are going to talk about it, but we're not going to talk historically. I think we have maybe a couple themes or, sort of high-level commentary that we would like to talk about, and then, so we're going to talk about that. Something that I think is very topical this weekend. This is, what day is it? April 10th when we're filming this. It's the first weekend of Coachella, so we wanted to briefly discuss that. And then we're just going to talk about some recommendations of some shows and some books that we liked recently. Yeah. And a movie that I saw in theaters. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let's get into it. So first, for reality, we're going to talk about Survivor.
Sorry, I forgot that I can't have resting bitch face.
So first, for reality, we're going to talk about Survivor 50. We've missed episodes 2 through 7. So, like Jewel said, we're not going to, go into every episode. But we each have some key takeaways or key thoughts. Do you want to give one first?
No, I think you should start. Okay. She took better notes than me.
I was literally a scribe. Generally, surprisingly, been entertained and or weirdly rooting for the Riz God. Which is crazy because I was not entertained by him at all on his own season. I was very annoyed by him and irritated by him. but he's low-key good at Survivor. And I'm, like, just shocked.
When the student becomes the master.
He's found himself in such a good position. He's aligned with Suri and Ozzy in, like, a final 3.
Which, can I say, is remarkable because, obviously, I've never met him in real life. He does seem annoying.
Super annoying, but...
And they say that. They're like, he's annoying me.
Yeah. But he's clearly grown on people, and he's had many strong players align themselves with him. For example, Colby himself went on record, episode, 1, being like, Rizzo's
This
so
kid's annoying.
freaking annoying. And by episode 3, he's like, he's my protege. So I'm like, what social game does the Riz God have that we're unaware of?
Yeah.
That he's somehow getting all these people to align with him. And also, in episode 7, just as like a recap, Dee ended up going home as the first member of the jury. And one of the main reasons why she went home was because she basically told everyone that Rizzo had an idol, and she gave away one of his secrets. And he was like, okay, I can't trust her anymore. I have no reason to protect her. And it did, like, everything she tried to save herself didn't work. And
They sent her home instead of friggin'
Coach, who everybody hates. But Rizzo also somehow is in, like, that honorable alliance as well. And, like, I'm just generally impressed by how well he's positioning himself. And I also just, like, really am entertained by the Suri, Ozzy, Rizzo. In Suri's word, I'm in a poly relationship with Rizzo and Ozzy, which I thought was hilarious. It's just, like, I feel like they're setting that group up to have some longevity in the game.
Yeah. I agree. They're getting a good edit.
They are.
I think Suri, just building off of that comment, it is interesting that she is playing the same game that she has always played, which is get everyone to like you, but, like, largely fly under the radar. And it's working again.
Her strategy is get everyone to like you. Somehow everybody tells you everything about their game. She knows every single
She's the GOAT, in my opinion.
Every single power at play. And align yourself with a strong alliance, a small but strong alliance that will get you to the end. That's powerful.
And win stuff.
Yeah. So she's aligned herself with Ozzy, who's about to break the record for individual immunities. She's aligned herself with Rizzo, who somehow has his name in every single person's alliance. And she is sitting pretty. And nobody is paying attention to her.
Yep.
Yet again. But is it enough?
She's got a gift.
She does.
I don't know if it'll be enough. It might not be enough.
It's never been enough before. So I think that's the...
Except for Traders is her game. Because that's when you can win.
Right.
Simply by...
still being there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to, like, advocate to a jury of your peers who you just betrayed, like, immensely.
Yeah.
That's sort of the main thing about Traders.
Yeah.
So that's my first takeaway.
One comment based on something that you said, which is, like, the like, honorable alliance. Boring.
Boo.
Like, I find that so dumb. That's it.
It's dumb, and it's also hypocritical, which is really annoying to me because, like, Joe, I guess, has done the honorable thing in, like, a real way.
Well, it didn't work.
He lost, so, like, yeah, if you want to play that game again, like, by all means.
Yeah. Also, you were surrounded by other like-minded weenies.
Yes, yeah. And none of you won.
Yeah.
So, but then also, Coach, I mean, he's just, like, the master of, like, being a massive hypocrite and just, like, being performative and
just saying
just
stuff.
being an idiot. That pissed me off so much at the last tribal council, how Coach, and this is the thing, Dee's a strong player. Dee won her season. The fact that she got eliminated and made it to jury, having won, and there are no winners left now. That's impressive that she made it that far, having basically very easily won her own season. So the fact that she made it that far, impressive. It bothered me that everybody was going in on her at the tribal council being like, well, you lied this time. Well, you lied to me during this. You all have lied to each other. If I were her, I would not have been able to keep my mouth shut. I would have been like, you lied to this person. You lied to this person.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally the game of Survivor.
Yeah, it's like a TV show.
Miss me with, like, the performative, like, honor.
Yeah. I'm like,
It's a game.
it's a game on TV.
It's a game on TV where the point of it is to
Lie.
It's just, yeah.
What is it? Outwit?
Outlast. Outwit.
It's not like,
Outwit. Outplay. Outlast.
it's not like out honor.
Out like
Truth tell.
good person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boring.
So yeah, that's sort of my take on that.
I guess I have one just thought. You said that you were rooting for the Riz God. And
I'm not rooting for him. I'm just impressed by him. But
Yeah. In our household, we are Christian stans.
I'm not a Riz God stan. Let the record show.
She loves Riz God. She told me.
I'm just impressed by him, but go ahead.
No, that's it. Like, I love Christian. I did not watch his season, so this is my first exposure to him.
You didn't watch David vs. Goliath?
No, I haven't watched it yet. Sorry, my freaking dog died. I got distracted.
Oh my god. No, but like you have to watch David Goliath. It's like an S tier Survivor season. And Christian, he's just exactly the same as he is now. He's always been this way.
We love him. We think he's so funny. And I might delete this, but I want to say I've recently been prompted by my cousin Abby, shout out, to think about like who our like hear me outs are, if you recall that internet trend. And I only have one other hear me out, which is Tony Soprano. And I have to say Christian of Survivor, Christian is being added to my list. So just wanted to say.
Wow. You
Big
heard it
news.
here. You heard it here first.
The hear me out list now has 2 names. He's taking his place under Tony Soprano.
Julie and I talked about this the other day, and like I also have a Survivor 50 hear me out that could be controversial.
I don't think it's a hear me out.
Because this person in previous seasons was absolutely not a hear me out. This was just a conventionally hot person. Ozzy is very gross looking. Not gross looking, that's mean. He's very...
You said it best. He's hot in the way that Jack Sparrow is hot.
Yes, in like a grimy sort of way.
Yeah.
In a way where it's like he hasn't left the island this whole time.
No, this whole time he's been there. Since
Yeah.
the 15 years, the last time he was on the show 15 years ago.
Right, and he's rocking like a Joe Exotic sort of hair thing.
A hair accessory
Yes,
combo.
a mullet that's sort of... wait, what's that thing?
He has the same styling as Joe. The same stylist as Joe
Right.
Exotic.
But, Merkin.
No, Merkin.
It's giving Merkin. If you don't know what a Merkin is, Google it. I'm sorry that you now know this fact, but...
And you know what? He has never done sunscreen a day in his life.
No, but I'm not mad at that. I don't mind a crispy man.
In combination with the other elements, though, it's contributing to the Joe Exotic.
It's contributing also to the Captain Jack Sparrow. The sun-damaged sort of crustiness of it.
Yeah.
But also, I think if he just made some stylistic changes, he
Sure.
could run with it. A guy liner, an ear, like a hoop instead of a stud. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Then he's...
maybe that's what it is. The studs are not working.
No, it's seemingly at odds with, like, the rest of it.
I also
Maybe a feather.
I think a feather would make it so much worse.
No, that would be dead-ass appropriation.
I think he just needs, like, a good haircut.
Yeah.
And
A shave.
you're right, maybe an earring change.
Yeah. A little hoop. Anyways, those are our hear me outs. And if you're one of the people that said hear me out, Colby,
Grow up.
grow up. That's the most conventionally attractive man by, like, American beauty standards.
He looks like the hot guy, a hot American guy if you Googled that.
Yeah. Just because he's in his 50s does not mean he's still not extremely conventionally attractive. I have 2 other quick points that I'm going to make about some other people who have been eliminated. One, Charlie. Bro, you are the saltiest Survivor player I've ever seen. Literally destroying your own game because you were mad that Rizzo didn't vote for his alliance member to win the game because you're so salty about your own
He
situation.
was, like, so triggered by it.
Like, so triggered. You should have absolutely gone to a therapist before this to work out whatever you had going on because he ruined his own game.
That was so insane.
That was, like, gave me the ick so bad.
Yeah.
So that was my last take. And then my last take is during the 3-person elimination, Blood Moon, if you will, when Genevieve, Camilla, and Colby went home, I was like, what a strong trio that I was just shocked. I thought that was going to be the perfect time to take out, like, some of the fringe players, like Chrissy, for example, who everybody thought was going to be going home on, like, that Camilla tribe.
Yeah.
And I mean, shout out to her. She got herself out of it, but they took out like 3 really strong threats. Like Genevieve
I
and
love
Camilla
Genevieve.
were odd, like had good chances of like getting very far and potentially winning the game. I mean, it's season 50, so it's not shocking. But I hope it doesn't become one of the situations where they're being really bold, getting out all the strong players, that by the time it's at the end, there are actually no strong players left.
Yeah, it's just like
that
freaking Coach and Joe.
Yeah, like that does sometimes happen. So I'm hoping that doesn't become the case.
I feel bad I keep dissing Joe. I will say during the tribal council this week when he did the fireman reference and this is sort of a symptom of like a larger problem on Survivor, which is that nowadays they all try to like out metaphor each other or like out
catchphrase
parable. Like there's always a parable that then they all kind of like tie in.
An extended metaphor.
There's always an extended metaphor, and like sometimes it's so dumb. And Joe, God bless him, he like really did try. And then basically everyone just like kept piling on in like making fun of him.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm sorry, like I'm never gonna do this again.
I know.
I did laugh at that. But I did laugh at that. I feel like I feel like we said this before the season started, that he was like perhaps a little out of his league with some of like the game players. And I do think that's true.
Yeah.
But he's holding his own.
He is.
He's doing his thing.
He's holding his own.
And he's like, seems like a nice guy, which can get you pretty far.
100. I mean, that's a life lesson. Being nice and like
just kind of getting along with people.
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you think they know what questions Jeff is going to ask them at Tribal Council ahead of time?
I have also thought of this. I don't think so. I do think they have nothing else to think about. So I think they've come prepared with kind of like talking points, or like they can just kind of guess like what's been going on.
Yeah, I always wonder like the behind the scenes of what goes on, because I saw a video that was talking about the process of days where they have competitions, like what that looks like, because they don't walk from their camp into the competition.
They have to get on a boat probably.
Well, I think they walk to like sort of an area, and then they basically sit in a tent, and they have to be like checked over to make sure that they're not like gonna die basically during the competition. And so they're sitting in this tent for like hours, and then they're getting B-roll footage, and they're doing this and they're doing that, all during that time right before the competition. So by the time they actually walk in, they're like so jazzed to go because they've been sitting there waiting. Yeah. So like I do feel like there is a pre-tribal element. I don't think they actually march down the beach and walk into the tribal council thing.
Probably.
But I feel like they always come prepared with like such good answers. But maybe that's part of being on Survivor and being good at the show, is like being able to narrate the story and like, you know, put words to what's going on. Yeah. So and they're well practiced. These are people who've done it before, so it's not surprising. But
and also they, like I said, they like don't have anything else to think about. They've got some time to noodle on it. Yeah. Yeah. It's a very like insular experience. Anything else? Any other comments on this other thing? I have to do the touch ID on there.
No comments. I think one topic maybe to bring up is like the sort of Zac Brown band, Billie Eilish Immunity Idol of it all with Survivor 50, but I feel like we've touched on it before on like our socials and stuff, so I don't think we have to get so much into it, and there's been so much debate about it that I'm kind of like, yeah, it's all been said. Corny. Yeah, it's like corny. But then again, like if I were on the Zac Brown band challenge and I heard him singing Colder Weather, I would also be sobbing. So it's like, it's corny, but it's probably actually a good, like, cool experience for the people that have, you know, got to have it. Yeah. It has cracked me up, though. I saw this meme that was like, take a shot every time they say Billie Eilish Boomerang Immunity Idol. And like, once you become aware of how much they say it, it's actually hilarious.
Are they, like, do you think they're contractually obligated to say Billie Eilish Boomerang Immunity Idol?
Yes.
They can't just say the Boomerang Idol?
I think they're contractually bound to say that, and I think they have to say it a certain number of times per episode. Because that's how brand deals work. Is
so
you
who
have
pays
to like
who?
I think Billie Eilish. Yeah, I think
Billie Eilish paying Survivor or ABC. What is it? ABC?
Yeah, CBS.
CBS. Yeah. Or CBS licensing Billie Eilish's name.
No, I think Billie.
I don't know who benefits.
I'm not sure who benefits either, but I think Billie Eilish. And maybe it's just mutual. Maybe it's just like they got to use her name and her like brand, in exchange for mentioning her name and mentioning the idol X number of times. It's probably just like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's money passing, but there probably is.
I do something I do love about Billie is that she's a girl after my own heart in terms of, like, she loves The Office, apparently loves Survivor. Mm-hmm. She's a girl with
she likes a cable
taste.
TV show.
Yeah. Exactly. She loves network programming.
Sure. Don't we all?
Okay. Next topic.
Moving on to Not That Deep Soapbox. We are going to be talking about Coachella 2026.
And I don't think this is truly not going to be that deep. I think we're just...
This is the definition of not that deep, by the way.
My thing is I wish I was there. I've never had FOMO about Coachella. I'm sort of generally I'm like, that looks like dusty and hot. I'd love to see Mr. Bieber.
Yeah. I mean, it's Bieberchella, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that is the only incentive that I would have to go to Coachella is, like, an artist like that where it's like, are they ever going to go on tour again?
Yeah.
Is this, like, maybe one of the last opportunities to see this person?
Yeah.
And I also saw that he was, like, rehearsing, like, tons of old songs. And, like, I'm so excited to see those videos. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to get emotional.
Me too. I'm glad that he's, like, doing well enough to, like, perform.
Yeah. So yeah, I also have, like, an element of FOMO because of the Bieberchella of it all, but you have gone on record saying that Palm Springs and you did not physically agree with one another. Because Julia has been to Palm Springs before.
Yeah, this upcoming week, last year, I was in Joshua Tree, which is, like, right next to Palm Desert. And so you, like, drive past where Coachella is. And I'm so allergic to it. I don't know if it's, like, there's some sort of, like, it's, like, ragweed or something that I am allergic to. But also just generally, like, the dust and the dry air and the sun. Look at me. I can't be in the desert. I'm not built. I'm built for, like, the highlands.
Yeah.
I'm built for where it rains 80% of the year. So yeah, I'm just, like, I couldn't breathe at the end of every day. My eyes were swollen shut because I was so allergic.
She would, like, send pictures, like, waking up in the morning and, like face swollen up.
My
like,
face was so swollen.
Couldn't breathe.
Breathe.
That's not even when you're, like, at a festival where you're outside all day.
We were in a
sun.
house. We were not camping.
Yeah, and, well, camping, of course, but then also, like, the, like, drinking element.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that it's, like, a partying sort of situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That would be crazy.
Exposure to the elements all day, and also immune system compromising activities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be cooked.
The way that I see Coachella is, like, if I were being sponsored by, like, a brand where they cover the housing, where they cover, well, obviously your ticket, the
shuttle,
the ticket's kind of the least of the issues, honestly.
Yeah.
But the transportation, like, the Airbnb, they're taking you back and forth. You have to go to certain, like, activations, like, at the thing, whatever. It's corny, but, like, that I feel like would be maybe the only time I would think about doing it, because going as, like, a regular person seems like actually so miserable.
Well, you have to camp. I don't know, you're waiting for an Uber for, like, an hour to come get you.
Or you have to pay extra to take the shuttles and to do the shuttle service. It's, like, extra money.
It just seems like it seems logistically like a nightmare.
Yeah. But even camping, like, you see those videos of, like, lines of cars for, like, miles and miles of people just trying to get in to set up their campsites. No bathrooms. That also leads me to another point I wanted to say about Coachella, which is about the cost of, like, Airbnbs. And to be fair, I did see this.
To be granted.
To grant fairness.
As well.
I saw a video by, this is, like, Brent Rivera group, My Life as Eva. She made a video talking about, like, she priced out some of the Airbnbs and hotels around the Coachella venue, and she posted this 9 hours ago, so it's possible this is just because it's, like, a last-minute inquiry that she made. So she has this condo in Palm Springs, 1 bedroom, 2 beds in it, so I guess you could share it with somebody, for 3 nights, so this is just one weekend, $43,581 for 2 beds.
Wait, say it again. 40 what?
$43,000. $43,581 for 3 nights. So do the math. That's more than $10K a night. That's you stay there with one other person. Basically, you split that $20K just for the condo for the night. And by the way, inside not luxurious. Like
No.
this other one, $35,100. That's 2 bedrooms, 3 beds. I mean, like the cost of this is actually unbelievable. And so people in the comments were being like talking about stuff they could pay for with that amount of money. And somebody said, for that price, I could Uber helicopter myself there and back 40 times.
Wait, that's a bargain.
And I was like, wait, I should totally Uber helicopter. I'm so scared of helicopters, but like,
I don't think they would take us to California.
I mean, they wouldn't take it, but like if I were just staying somewhere else in Southern California. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay with a friend in LA and then take an Uber helicopter.
Yeah.
But I was like, actually, that's insane. And
Do they have a helipad?
probably. It's in the desert. Can't they just drop you anywhere?
I don't know how that works.
So yeah, I feel like for me, the only way I would want to go if I were there with a brand. Specifically, I'm having extreme FOMO right now about a certain brand of, I keep thinking Hype House, which is not what they're called, but it's like a brand house that, you know, the brand sponsors 10, you know, influencers to go to whatever. The Barbie Coachella Influencer House. I have so much FOMO because they did such an immaculate job of pulling these different influencers and like celebrities from different places that they're like, it's like unmatched. Whoever Barbie's social media manager and like influencer marketing person is who chose the influencers that they brought to Coachella, girl, you deserve a raise.
Who is it besides our girl Clara?
Do you know Olandria from Love Island?
Yes.
Olandria. Also, I'm drawing a blank on her name, but she's like my girl. She does like maximalist fashion.
Benulus
on Instagram. She's just like so cool. She's a New York fashion girly. And she's been posting her outfits and like she looks unbelievably cool. And all of her outfits are odes to different Barbies. It's just so girlhood. It's so fabulous.
For Maddie's marketing corner, I like this is a perfection.
It's perfection.
Example.
Yeah. And I just think it's cool.
Well, Mattel, for listening next year,
or next weekend. I'll drop my plans.
I feel like the first weekend is like the one where most of the stuff
I
happens.
only want to see Justin Bieber.
Is it? But that's this weekend, no?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But I would go.
Yeah, like next year, like let us know. We'll probably have like 30 to 40 million followers by then. So.
And if you're doing like different Barbies, like for like different types of influencers, like we can be like sister Barbies.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. To wrap up today's episode, we're going to get into Beck's Recs, and we have a mutual rec for a show that we both watched, and then we each have one individual rec. So should we start with our mutual rec?
Sure.
Okay, so our mutual rec is a documentary on Netflix called Trust Me, The False Prophet. And the documentary follows a...
Is this for all my true crime girlies?
Yes, this is for the true crime documentary girlies. But honestly, I don't even think I take that back. You probably need to have a baseline understanding of FLDS as a cult and the Warren Jeffs of it all before going into it. But there are tons of documentaries about that, so pre-watch that if you're unaware of like the FLDS community. So this follows a subsect of the FLDS
which stands
community.
for Fundamentalist something Latter-day Saints.
Yes. Fundamentalist something. So this is a subsect of the
They're
FLDS
the polygamist
cult.
ones.
Polygamist, the crazy hair on the women, the crazy dresses on the women, the men get to be normal, of course. And basically it starts with Warren Jeffs, who is the leader of the FLDS cult. He was like the prophet, and you know, his father and his father and his father, whomever, are like the prophets. And he got arrested in the early 2010s because he was engaged with minors. And so he's in prison, and he was still leading his cult from prison until suddenly he wasn't. And so everyone was sort of just dispersing like without a leader.
Yeah.
Until this man, Samuel Bateman, stepped up and claimed that Warren Jeffs has now told him he's the new prophet.
And Warren Jeffs is dead.
He's dead, sure. The U.S. government's lying. He died in prison, all this stuff. he is alive. So that's sort of how it starts. And if you know anything about the cult, you know they're married to like 30 women. They have a bajillions of kids. It's generally upsetting.
Well, it's a very like insular community. They live in like one specific area and they don't live anywhere else. They don't like interact much with people who are outside of the religion.
Yeah. The documentary actually follows two people who were ex-Mormons who, well, the woman is, who was an ex-Mormon who sort of fell for a similarly false prophet. And she basically goes in there to try to help these women who are now financially destitute following Warren Jeffs being in prison. So she goes there to help these women, and she does. She sets them up with businesses. They're selling stuff on Etsy. She actually really helps the women in this community. And so they decided to make a documentary about these women and about
destigmatize the community.
Destigmatize the community, show like the humanity of it and things like that. But through the process, they discovered that Samuel Bateman, unsurprisingly, also up to no
they
good.
never heard of this guy, and all of a sudden they are like realizing that, oh, this man is like he throughout the course of their filming, he slowly gains power and starts engaging in all these really horrible things.
Yeah. And so the documentary sort of twists into following that and ends up that these documentary filmmakers are sort of involved with taking down this.
They become FBI informants.
They become informants, and they end up like helping the FBI take down this like ring of child trafficking.
Yeah, literally sex trafficking.
It's insanely good. We both binge watched all 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Like immediately. Very good.
It's very, it's, you want to see what happens
Yes.
next. And I hadn't really heard of this. I obviously knew about Warren Jeffs, but I have not heard of this guy.
Mm-hmm, me neither.
And it happened like 2 years ago.
There's like 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane.
Really good. Do you want to do your...
Yes. So my rec, and this is sort of a rec and also sort of a critique, but this month I read The Women by Kristin Hannah, which came very well recommended to me by many people. And this is a book about the Vietnam War. And Kristin Hannah, if you know, many of her novels are historical fiction, and a lot of them follow the experiences of women during war. 2 of them, the other most popular Kristin Hannah novel is The Nightingale. So these both follow 2 major wars, World War II and the Vietnam War, and the perspective of women. Because, of course, when we hear history, we hear about the men's perspective. And these were both in times before women could serve in combat roles and things like that. So this book follows a young woman named Frances, but she goes by Frankie. And she basically is raised in this family that really prioritizes the military. And her brother gets deployed to Vietnam War. He ends up being killed in combat. And she decides that she also wants to be this, like, hero that her family has, like, put on this pedestal. So she joins the army as a nurse. And so she serves in, in Vietnam for 2 years. 2 years deployment in, like, the OR and stuff like that. So it's her experience there, but more so it's her experience when she comes back. And if you know anything about that time in U.S. history, it's a very, very tumultuous time during the Vietnam War because it was the civil rights movement, Summer of Love, all these protests. Very transformative time in U.S. history that I actually did not know a ton about. And the Vietnam War is just absolutely a freaking fever dream. It's actually insane that it even happened. However, and this is going to be a mild spoiler. I'm not going to give, names. Multiple people came back from the dead in this book.
Supernatural?
Not literally in, a Jesus way. In, oh my God, they weren't dead after all. I'm not kidding. Many people, 2 separate love interests, come back from the dead.
So, turns out they weren't dead. They just, went... They thought they were dead.
So... one thing about the Vietnam War is that they took many prisoners of war. Oh. And the U.S. government had no way of knowing who was dead and who was a POW.
Yeah.
Or missing in action. And so they just would tell their families that they were dead. And then, is a real thing that happened.
Yeah.
And then they came home and it was like, what the hell?
Okay.
multiple, though. I'm like, you get one return from the dead.
Yeah.
One.
Per book. I
Per
would say
book.
that's fair.
And it was just like, they did her, like, Kristin Hannah did her so unbelievably dirty. Every bad thing that could have happened to her happens to her. And then suddenly every good thing that could possibly happen happened to her. And I was just like, it was a little unrealistic. And the character of Frankie was so unrelatable to me, which I don't want to say that's like a flaw of the book, but she was definitely like not like other girls and things like that.
They had pick-me's back in Vietnam War.
Yeah, so she was a pick-me and stuff like that. But then she ends up like unpacking her pick-me-ness like as she connects more with these female veterans. And basically the point of the book is that like the message that the U.S. government was sending was that there were no women at the Vietnam War, which was a lie. There were women, and women died. And then since then, there's like now a memorial that acknowledges the nurses and the women who served, and stuff like that. So that's what it's about. Love the message. I love that she tackled Vietnam War, which is such a touchy and complicated time in U.S. history, from the perspective of a veteran, which also the Vietnam War was so unpopular that when the vets came back after going through something so unbelievably traumatic, like they were spat on, they were hated, all this stuff. Not like in World War II when they came back and they were heroes, much different. Anyways, it just was a little, at the end I was like,
I'm like, all right.
bruh. And then on the other hand, you have The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah, which is about two sisters in Vichy Nazi-occupied France and sort of how they handle being women in a war that they can obviously not serve in. I love this book. This is in like a top, maybe my favorite book ever. And I just think it just stood out a little bit more to me.
Because this one hit so hard.
This one hit so unbelievably hard, and this one had so much recommendation from people that that I was like just a little disappointed because these characters are so vivid and complicated. And both sisters I saw myself in different ways, and like having a sister, maybe that's my sister bias, but like it truly, they aren't close, by the way. Like this isn't like a best friend.
Just like us.
We are not close at all. So it's not even that, but it's just like, I feel like the characters are very, very true to so many women that I know. And I just love, like, World War II is one of my favorite topics to learn about. So anyways, both good, both worth reading. But I would say if you're picking one or the other, go for The Nightingale first. But you might need 7 to 10 business days to recover.
Yeah, that's why I haven't read it yet. I don't think I'm, like, emotionally prepared.
Yeah, I'm not a crier.
Well, you cried.
There were multiple tears. And also, this is a big book.
Yeah.
And, like, I read it in maybe a week.
Was it really, like you couldn't put it down?
You literally can't put it down. And both of these are like that, which is crazy because historical fiction can be so boring. Especially this one, like, is about war. Like, she's, like, in Vietnam. Which, like, if you were to pitch that to me, I would be like, no, thank you. That's kind of boring. But it's good. Like, you root for, this one especially, like, you actually cannot put it down. This is a 600-page historical fiction. So, like,
yeah.
Kristin Hannah, shout out to you. That's my rec.
Maybe I'll read that this summer. Okay, so my rec is a movie, not a book, and recent movie that came out in the last, like, week or two. Sci-fi. I don't know why I'm, like, building this up to be so dramatic. The movie Project Hail Mary, starring Ryan Gosling. That's his name, right? I always get confused with the Ryans.
So many Ryans.
I instinctively want to call him Ryan Reynolds, but that's very different.
Or Ryan Hemsworth. Just kidding.
Not to be, like, the Chris's are also
The
confusing.
Chris's are actually out of pocket.
Yeah. The Ryans, like, you know, it's less of them.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, starring Ryan Gosling. It is a sci-fi movie where he goes to space and there's an alien. But it is very, very heartwarming. It's kind of like, did you ever watch the movie Arrival?
No, but I know everything that happens in it because I've consumed so much content about it.
It's kind of like if a Marvel movie had a baby with Arrival. Okay. It's, like, kind of silly at times, like a Marvel movie is, but, like, there's more of, like, a heavy sci-fi element in the sense of, like, when you're in space, it takes a really long time to get there. And so, like, the technology that you have to have in order to, like, get to a place in space has to be quite advanced. where I feel like Marvel movies are just like kind of in like a little jet. And
They're
they
"We
just kind of
made it."
bop around. But anyway, yeah, I thought it was really good. I of course cried. I'm a crier. So I did cry. And I think something else about sci-fi movies is that they often have like huge stakes where it's like it's not just like the fate of the world, it's also like the fate of the universe rests upon the protagonists like doing their mission. This was definitely that. But sorry, spoiler, it's a happy ending, which like so many movies nowadays do not have a happy ending. They have some sort of like lesson that we're supposed to learn and like it's sad.
Right.
It was so refreshing to have a movie where like you feel relieved and happy at the end.
That's the only reason I'm contemplating watching it.
Yeah. It's not sad.
Because one thing about me in space, none of my business. Don't care. Not that I don't care, it's very important. And I think with like, very topical, by the way, with Artemis too.
Yeah.
And that whole space mission that's happening right now. They're coming back to Earth. Personally, I get very existential about like the fact that space is legitimately infinite.
Yeah.
And it's nothing. Or
Yeah.
is it?
Well, and something else I will say, something that I liked about this movie, there's an alien, and I feel like most aliens, like in Star Wars and stuff, they're human-like creatures where maybe they are like green or they have like tentacles or something. But like for the most part, their communication is like maybe it's a different language, but they're making sounds with their mouth and, you know, their world looks very similar to what we as humans can relate to on Earth.
Yeah.
The alien in this movie, like their universe is like totally different from Earth and how humans interact with one another. So I thought that was cool because you don't see that very often.
No.
They do like echolocation. So it's
Whoa. I feel like that's more real, probable.
probably realistic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was cool.
Do you believe in aliens?
Yeah. I believe that there probably are aliens, but like the way that like time works,
Oh.
they're either like if they're happening at the same time as us.
You think it's like a multiverse situation?
I just don't think that time is like like time is not linear in the way that we conceive it on Earth.
Sure.
Like the time that it would take you, let's say there's an alien on a planet far away, the time that it would take us to get there would be like it's not
Yeah.
happening in simultaneous like
Yeah, that's trippy.
yeah.
Because of how far away it is. And
Yeah.
the amount of time that it would take to get there.
Yeah.
I think that if you confidently say aliens don't exist, you're actually crazy because space is infinite. You're going to say fully confidently that there's nothing in the infinite unknown that we actually have no idea where anything is. Also, we don't know what's in the ocean, let alone in space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're crazy if you confidently say aliens don't exist. But also, the multiverse theory that I believe in has to do with, like, different dimensions. And I don't know if this is what you're referring to, but when I saw this, I was like, wait, I totally buy that. The idea is that, like, we have different dimensions. 1-dimensional, 2-dimensional, 3 dimensions. Obviously, we as human beings exist in 3 dimensions. We have width and height and all the things. Things also exist in 2 dimensions. Things that are flat. We have 2D animation and all the stuff.
Yeah.
Each dimension can perceive the dimensions below it. We know that things are 2-dimensional. We know that things are 1-dimensional. Yes. 2-dimensional things cannot perceive things that are 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
We have no idea what dimensions exist above us.
Like God or
4 dimensions, 5 dimensions. We have no idea because we are just 3-dimensional. And that theory, I was like, I'm sold.
No, it's so true. And also I think the existence of space and like our existence as a really tiny part of the universe is like scary to people, especially like people who are religious. I think that like the randomness and
it's miraculous.
The miraculousness of our existence on Earth in the universe is evidence of some sort of like God.
I totally agree.
And some sort of like divine intervention.
I totally agree.
And maybe it's what you said, where like, I don't think we as human beings can conceptualize what God is.
So it's like, yeah, it's so complex that I just feel like anybody who says things so confidently, that's, you know, everything is scary when you don't know how anything works, but it's also the reverse. The more that you know, the more that you realize you don't know. The more that you realize there's this big, mysterious element at play.
And, like, I feel like you're going to really appreciate the randomness and the, like, miraculousness that we're here and exist.
Yeah. And I think there's something to be taken, too, from, like, the Artemis 2 mission where they're up there doing something that human beings have never done, seeing things with their eyes that human beings have never seen. And their takeaways were, you know, they named something after the one guy's wife. When asked what they would miss the most about being in space, they said spending time with each other, the friendships and the camaraderie that they had. And that's what it is. When everything is mysterious and big and nothing matters because we're all just in a floating green rock, you realize that the only thing that actually matters is the small things. Talking
this
to
podcast.
a camera. You realize the only thing that matters is My Sister's Couch, episode 16.
How is this only episode 16? I feel like we've been doing this forever.
All right. Well, that took a very existential turn.
I guess watch there's like a cute alien.
Yeah.
Who honestly really reminds me of Tuna.
Aww.
Yeah.
Our parents' dog.
Yeah.
You know what? Get you a podcast that starts talking about Survivor and ends talking about the meaning of life.
And like religion in the context of the universe.
Ugh, we contain multitudes.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Y'all take care now.
I'll take care. Have a good one.
What should they comment below?
Comment if you believe in God.
No, comment, since we did a little true crime at the beginning of our... Comment your favorite... No, that's horrible. What's your favorite murder?
No, I was going to say, comment any really good, like, documentary if you've seen a good docuseries.
It doesn't have to be about a crime. It could be about,
about
just,
anything.
like, something interesting that happened.
Yeah. Subscribe and follow and comment and...
But only if it's nice.
Give us a compliment.
And that's it.